Good evening, everyone. I'm Ting, and I'm here to share my research findings on the impact of statutory consultation procedure in the English planning systems. So as you can see from the title here, the research was conducted from the perspective of the Gardens Trust. So first, let me start off with a little background on the organizations. So the Gardens Trust was established in 2015 and formerly known as the Garden History Society, and works with all the county gardens trusts around England and Wales. They act as a statutory consultee since 1995, that is to give comments on planning applications either in the name of the Gardens Trust or in the name of the County Gardens Trust. So, sorry. So So the trust has expressed their concern on possible assumptions that there is ignorance among the local planning authorities towards the comments that they have given on planning applications. So this research was to look into the matter by answering these questions, like, first of all, how impactful is the role of a statutory consultee? How efficient is the consultation procedure? And what are the issues within the whole process? So here's a brief context on the protection of historic parks and gardens. In 1983, the historic parks and gardens finally received their statutory recognitions through the National Heritage Act 1983. Yes. And then, however, it doesn't act as a statutory control, as the local planning authorities only required the local planning authorities to consider possible impacts of a new development involving registered park and gardens while they are making their planning decisions. So it's only to consider it, not to have actual control on the development. And the consultation policies were introduced in 1995 into the planning system, and however, it is the final decisions of a planning application is still in the hands of the local planning authorities. So it doesn't change anything since their statutory recognitions. And also, the review shows that there are very limited research on the planning systems, like looking specifically into statutory consultation procedures. And then all this research comes to a very similar conclusions, that is both the protection on historic parks and gardens and the statutory consultation process were not properly implemented. So in this research, both quantitative and qualitative approaches were applied, which includes analyzing comments and planning decisions for consultations received from 2014 to 2018, and also case studies in which 4 counties were selected based on the numbers of responded cases and also rate of responses. And so, And also the sample counties make up to 373 cases out of the total 2,071 cases that the trust have replied to within the 5 years, like 2014 until 2018. And also, so for the case studies, 1 applications are selected from each counties for detailed document analysis on planning documents and also the planning decisions. And lastly, semi-structured interviews were also conducted with respective county gardens trust representative. So now let's move on to some of the main findings. Here's a graph showing the permitted applications according to the types of comments that the gardens trust have given. We can see that there's only in only in Devon, sorry, it doesn't work. Okay, only in Devon that all of the supported applications were approved by the local council. However, meanwhile, in Derbyshire, every planning applications that the trust had advised to be refused have been approved. So it's like a totally different situation here. So, moving on to detailed document analysis, these are the 4 applications selected from each counties. First, we have a retrospective applications for a forest school in Pensanger, a major development project in the whole involving constructions of 11-story hotel and a 15-story residential building. You can see the difference here. Yep. And then thirdly, we have retention of temporary classrooms in the school in Westernbird. And lastly, conversions and constructions of farmhouses near Kedleston Hall in Derbyshire. And all these applications were approved, except the one in Westernbird, which was actually permitted as well in later applications. So, yeah. Okay, so the numerical data show that most of the objected applications gain planning permission successfully, hence implying a degree of ignorance among local planning authorities towards the Gardens Trust comments. It is uncertain that the comments given in the name of County Gardens Trust were less regarded compared to the ones given in the name of Gardens Trust, but there are cases where the planning officers log their comments as public comments in the planning website. So yes, you're supposed to, because you can see the comparisons, and supposedly for the responses from consultees, they're supposed to put it as consultees comments or something like that, but they put it as public comments. So yeah, you can see maybe there's something inside. Okay, and also some of the interviewees had commented that the council tend to give more weight on the comments given by History England compared to the trust, which may lead to some complicated issues, especially when the proposed sites are out of the statutory remit, because History England are statutory consultees for parks and gardens in grade 1 and grade 2 star parks only, and then the trust were consultee for all the 3 grades. So when History England comment on something that's out of their remit, and then the planning officers take it more seriously than the actual consultee. So yeah, it makes it harder for the officers. Yeah, and also different understandings were also identified when it comes to subjective heritage terms, such as the setting of a registered park. For instance, in the Kedleston Hall case study, the objections was actually lodged by the trust. However, when I did the interview with the county trust officer, he actually did not consider this project as a harm to either the history setting or the park itself, because you can see from the map here, it's actually really quite far away. So yes, so you can see there's a difference of understandings even within the same organizations. Yes. So sorry. So also when it comes to and also among the local planning authorities, some of them, they'll consider that if there is no physical, direct physical damage to a heritage asset, but only to the settings of it, there's no actual damage, they will put less attention on heritage remit when it comes to when they're making the planning decision. Yes. And next, now we move on to planning consultation procedures. And then actually the current procedures is kind of time consuming as the consultations are circulated within the trust on a weekly basis. And then there is actually a 21-day limit for the consultees to give comments. So if the planning officer sends out their consultations late, so the trust may not be able to respond in time, so resulting in responsive applications, stuff like that. And it also depends on the planning officer's initiative to inform the trust of planning decisions or any changes on a proposal. Thus, the chance to give additional advice is often missed. In addition, the councils are not obliged to take full considerations of any comments that they have received. So it's possible that the approved developments always make limited or even no changes in regards to the comments that they receive. So it's so both consultees may give a lot of very comprehensive and holistic comments on designs, on historic context and everything, but the approved developments is still the same one as the one that they have been commented. So yes, and these situations happens to all the four case studies. And besides, the local planning authorities tend to show a tendency, it's not working again, show a tendency on putting more weight on other aspects when they're making decisions, such as design of a building or the public benefits of a development project. They impose conditions in their planning permits, but the effectiveness is questionable because, as for example, in the whole park case study, they applied 36 conditions on it, but most of them are actually discharged or varied through their appeal. So yes, so to conclude, while the findings confirm that local planning authorities do not accept every comment from the trust, the reasons behind it could be multidimensional. So further study is required based on a larger scope, perhaps looking into the decision making within the local planning authorities, and perhaps it may contribute to a more comprehensive planning conservation government framework in the coming future. Yes, thanks. That's all from me. Thank you.
We can take some questions. I'll start with a question. You mentioned in your conclusions that some more comprehensive research should be done in this area. What would be the next step that you would do if you took this further?
There's a lot to do actually, yeah. Because when I get into the topics deeper and deeper, and then there's actually lots of different kind of theories behind it. Perhaps if I'm taking the topic further, I'll try. Yeah, I'll do it in the largest scope because right now I only have 4 counties out of 48. So it's if it's possible, yeah, I want to see actual patterns around the whole within the trust around the whole England, yeah, and then also, from another perspective, looking at the decision-making process within the local planning authorities, because they have two basic ways of making decisions. They have planning committees for major development projects, and also those that decided by planning officers only. So it's smaller projects. So it's two different kind of thinking, I think. So yeah, we can either focus on one type and then look into it deeper, something like that. Yes. Hi.
And did you, in your research, find any either literature or kind of raw data regarding how communities value historical
Community
evidence?
values.
Yeah.
Let me see. No.
No, that's fine. Because it would be interesting to see the differences between the kind of professionals, securities professionals, and
Yes, there's actually. Oh, sorry, sorry to interrupt you. There's actually a research done by Victoria Thompson in 2014. She did. Did I remember wrongly? She did case studies as well, and then so there's interview with stakeholders and also the planning officers and also History England's officers, and then they did come up, but it's not that how to say significance compared to other like many economic values and stuff. Like they don't really put that. Yes. Yes.
Would it be wrong to say that to some degree the role of the Gardens Trust is just to fulfil a requirement rather than to actually take on what they're saying?
Are we allowed to say that? It did give that kind of feelings, because it's in the procedure. They have to do this. They have to ask for consultations, and then that's why they send out, and that's it. And then because without their response, because 2000 something because in 1 year they can the trust receive thousands of consultation each year, and then the figures that I gave that I showed just now, the 2071 cases, that's within 5 years. So you can imagine within 5 years there's supposed to be maybe 10,000 cases, but they can only respond to 2,000 of it, and then they were all, but the rest of the remaining applications are still getting approved and then getting developed and anything. So you can see that even if they didn't reply or anything, they don't can still proceed without their comments.
How did you measure whether appropriate weight was given to the Garden Trust comments?
Whether appropriate.
How did you measure whether the weight given to their comments was appropriate?
Okay. So I did it. So like I mentioned just now, I did document analysis based on these 4 case studies. So I compared all their planning documents. I read through the comments that Gardens Trust and History England have given, and compared it with the planning, because they have the planning officers, they have a report of their planning decisions, so we can compare it, and then from the consultation responses, you can see the stuff that they mentioned, the key points, the matter of concerns that they mentioned towards an applications, and then how did the planning officer respond to these comments. And then there's one, I remember there's one, there's no actual measurements for me, but I just compare it. And then there's one quite, if I'm not mistaken, the one in Western, but the reasons that they refuse it, the officer stated in the summary, like a summary. One of the main point is that the History England say that it's not, it should be refused, and then that's how you can see how they treat it so importantly. And then some of the interviewees, they mention it as well, when they deal with the planning officers or deal with other kinds of cases that they want support. They want the officers, the planning officers, to listen to their comment, to listen to their advice. They will ask like their friends in History at England or something like that to kind of like support them, and then they see the difference. So, yeah.
Did you interview any planning officers?
I'm sorry?
Did you interview any planning officers?
Anything? No. Sadly, it's actually part of my methodology as well. I mean, yes, but sadly, none of them replied to me. So, yeah. So yeah, I've meant to, but I can't.
We'll take one more because we need to.
You were really looking at the effectiveness of the procedure.
Yes.
I was quite struck by these examples you used where the Gardeners Trust were objecting to proposals, and virtually in every case the proposals
It's
were
permitted.
allowed through,
Yes.
apart from the one that they didn't comment on. So really the effectiveness of the Gardeners Trust, I mean, what kind of approach do they take? I mean, Kedleston, you had some photographs of the proposals,
Yes.
and it all looked rather nice. I mean, on what basis were they objecting? And were they being effective in their comments? Were they being persuasive? I mean, that to me looks very nice at the top, but and at the bottom it looks rather scruffy. What is,
I mean, why did they?
why did they object
Yes.
at the top?
First of all, they say, actually, I don't know if you can see it from here. No, I just pointed. This building here is actually a grade 2, this farmhouse is a grade 1 or grade 2 building. So that's one of the reasons why they think that the development is not, suitable, because these two buildings are actually new development. These are original. Yes, and then, to Gardens Trust, yes, they think that the design is not that suitable, doesn't really fit into it, and then the materials that they use are actually zinc cladding, and then they think that it's not really that traditional, even though the shape looks the same, but the material wise, and also setting is one of, that's why I say there's a different level of misunderstanding on terms, because they say that to the Gardens Trust, they think that it's within the setting of the Kedleston Hall, but in fact there's no like actual definitions for setting, like how far it should be, how we can't, there's no definite definition for it. So I visit Kedleston Hall and trying to like look on the map, trying to see like which direction the building is. I'll try to like see it from there. Definitely you can't see anything. So it's all covered by trees and everything. I was with the Gardens Trust officer for the site visit, and then he agreed that yes, there's no obstructions on views and everything. So he couldn't understand as well like why the trust has objected to it. Yeah. So in terms of but you're asking effectiveness, right?
Well, yeah, I think you've demonstrated.
Really? Yeah. Okay.